I thought that the Singaporeans, Singapore leaders, I like them very much. They are so concerned about the economy, the future of the economy, and they took a very active role in sorting out their ideas, brainstorming, in public, as to how to find a good, sensible, rational way out of the low-level equilibrium trap of affecting about 10 to 20% of our population. I was very encouraged that there was so much public discussion on this subject. And furthermore, I'm so encouraged by the fact that NWC also, on its own, discussed the matter within the NWC, debated it, and came to the conclusion that we should have quantitative guideline and to help the poorer income groups, those below $1,000 a month. Basically, NWC moved in the same direction as I was hoping to move. And I think the country is moving very well in that direction.
So do you think
that we are not ignoring disturbing income inequality. I think the country is trying to, is looking into it and calling a halt to further deterioration. The country as a whole, particularly including the government.
But do you think the measures since then are appropriate and adequate?
I think so. Whether it is adequate or not is a question of judgment. But the direction is completely in line with my advocacy.
So do you think you have succeeded in what you were set out to do when you first surfaced opened this issue in public?
Well, we are an industrial democracy, and especially with the advent of the internet, social media, and more public discussion on public policies is inevitable. It's also very desirable. Public participation in public policies. So that's to me is a very encouraging trend in Singapore, bearing in mind that we are a parliamentary democracy.
But personally, were you happy that after you talked about it, people start talking?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the?
I am very pleasantly surprised that there is so much sincere and genuine interest in the welfare and well-being of Singaporeans, especially the poorly educated, poorly remunerated Singaporeans. That is a very encouraging thought.
After like about 4 months since your wages restructuring policies, and you mentioned like whether it's adequate, it depends on judgment. How do you see like the?
You see, it is this sort of thing you cannot solve it overnight. The problem. You have to solve it over a long period of time. But if you have no time frame, then it's like a moving target. It's much more difficult to handle. That's why I suggested 3-year time frame. Like in the first economic restructuring, there was a 3-year time frame, you know, so that people will try to solve the basic problems within this time frame period. Now you ask whether it is adequate. Well, it's a question of judgment, and what in the view of the NWC, that is an appropriate measure. Don't forget, whatever we do, we must have public consensus, and it must be backed up by our unions and our employers, and of course by our government too. We must have tripartite consensus, and the tripartite consensus is that we have wage increase of how much?
It was $50,
Yes.
at least $50 for those earning $1,000 and
Yes,
below.
yes.
So it's a 5% increase, which is actually quite similar
Yeah.
to what you were,
Yes.
without any need for productivity increase.
Yes, yes. So they are in line with what I had in mind, except the quantum may not be exactly the same. My quantum is, of course, meant for debate. It's not a kind of iron law recommendation, immutable, cannot be changed, not that. It must be subject to discussion, subject to consensus, and backed by the 3 tripartite partners, particularly by the employers too, you know, because the employers have to pay, don't forget, and we don't want many of them say that if they disagree, then it's very difficult to proceed. You cannot force it on them. But one point which I would like to mention is that some people think that recommendations in the form of recommendations may not be effective. They should be in the form of law. You know, I don't think that is a good approach. Throughout the years, we have not used force. We allowed market forces to operate, and that must continue. That market forces must come in, except that the Wages Council just try to guide the market and produce certain guidelines within which the market might wish to operate within the year of recommendation. Let me explain. If you say everybody must pay how much? What percent was that? The figure you gave?
$50 for those earning $1,000.
What happens if some employers, small scale companies cannot pay? Are they breaking the law? As it is, they are not. What happens if some employers want to pay more? Are they breaking the law? At the moment, they are not. So they are free to pay above the law, above the guideline, below the guideline, or exactly as recommended. Right? What about effectiveness? Over the years, it has been shown a moral suasion system can work in Singapore. It can work. You don't need law. Law is too rigid. Yeah. What happens if a lot of companies just don't want to accept the guidelines? Actually, do you see in my recommendation, there's a compulsory element, you know. That is, to increase, some of the increase should take the form of CPF increase, and some on Skills Development Fund increase. These are compulsory elements. This is by law. There is a compulsory element, but it's not big. It's a small element by law. Sometimes I wish that NWC would incorporate a compulsory element, but a small component of it.
You mean the compulsory element, you mean referring to this
CPF and Skills
CPF.
Development Fund levy. And in my recommendation, I thought this compulsory element should be put aside for the workers for the future. You see, but that is by law, That means all companies will have to pay. But because it's compulsory, you cannot make the rates and the amount of payment too big. It must be within reach, within the ability to pay, and cannot undermine. Don't forget, whatever we do, we cannot compromise the investment climate, and we cannot undermine growth, our growth potential, and slow down the growth rate. No, that has never been the intention. The investment climate has still to be good investment climate, which we have built up over decades. Is meant to be preserved.